This video is dedicated to Michelle Lynn Brill, also known to her friends as Shelley, Michael Lent, Monica Havens, and Scott Crandell. The night I met James O'Barr was October 31st, 1988. I met him at a bar called City Club, located in downtown Detroit on the corner of Cass and Bagley in the Times Square district. Now, when I went to the bar that night, I met O'Barr. I was with Erik in our fields. When we first walked into the bar, you could hear somebody crying. Turned out it was some guy crying at the bar. It was my turn to buy first round. My friends Erik and Art, they went into the next room, which was the ballroom of the Leland Hotel. I went to the bar to get drinks. I went up to the corner of the bar near where the individual was crying. Off on the right side of the bar, he was sitting with four other individuals. When I ordered my drinks from the bartender, Mr. O'Barr looked up, saw me, his eyes lit up. Being a goth punk bar, you had a lot of heterosexuals, homosexuals, bisexuals there. I thought Mr. O'Barr was possibly going to hit on me. He came around the corner of the bar and asked me what I was. And after talking for a while, I asked him why he was crying. And he informed me that he had just come from a funeral and that he had just lost four of his good friends the night before. Now, in 2008, 2009, I wanted to have evidence to prove that I'm who I say I am, that James O'Barr based this comic book off of me. I wanted to track down these four individuals. James O'Barr said these four individuals, I wanted to track down the names of the four individuals who were with James O'Barr at the bar that night, because they were there and they could be used as witnesses proving of our meeting, and that we had talked about this comic book and I had agreed to let him use me in the comic book. Because he was with these four guys, I figured that they had all four gone to the funeral and may have known these other four individuals. So in 2008, 2009, I started researching James O'Barr with Ashley DeRoche. We went to the library here, and I actually looked up this accident. James O'Barr said he had lost four of his good friends, so we looked through the old obituaries between that whole week before the 31st of October that year, and I actually missed the name of the obituary. It was Ashley DeRoche who found it, and that led us to looking into the crash that occurred, and we looked and found that it was on the 28th, that Friday, and the four individuals and the name Shelley. Now, it turned out that Michael Lent, Monica Havens, and Scott Crandell all lived up in Charlevoix, which here I'll use my little hand here, a little like Michigan map, which would be way over here. Detroit, way down here. But Shelley, Michelle Lynn Brill, she was from Troy, Michigan, which is right next to Detroit. Now, the reason, after tracking down Shelley, I contacted the Brill family, her sister, and I asked if it would be possible for me to get a look at the guest log of those who attended the funeral. After talking with them, they told me that would not be possible. They were not interested in helping me out, which I can understand. Her death was quite violent. But when we found the incident, this is what the first, and you can look this up on my web pages. on Google. This is it right here. 4 teenagers were killed in a one-car accident in Charlevoix County Friday night. Authorities said that the crash occurred around 9:40 p.m. in the town of Bayshore, between Charlevoix and Petoskey, on US 31. The victims were 20-year-old Michael Lent, 19-year-old Monica Havens, 20-year-old Scott Crandell, all of Charlevoix, and 18-year-old Michelle Brill of Troy. Sheriff's deputies say Lent was driving the 1979 Pontiac Firebird when it went out of control and slammed into a tree. They speculated that Lent may have been drag racing and are looking for a second vehicle, a sports car, that was traveling at a high rate of speed in the area about the time of the crash. And that was the first article we found. I don't remember if that ran the Detroit Free Press or the Detroit News or the Oakland Press. I didn't mark on these when I Xeroxed them. Wait a minute. 1 second here. No. That was the first article. The next article that appeared in the paper a few days later: 4 people die in Charlevoix in shock. Charlevoix County Sheriff deputies on Sunday tried to piece together details of a traffic accident Friday in which 4 young people were killed. Authorities said that one of the victims was from Troy. Killed were Michael S. Lent, 20, Scott A. Crandell, 20, Monica J. Havens, 19, all from Charlevoix, and Michelle L. Brill, 18, of Troy. Excuse me, get a little emotional. Brill, 18, was a 1988 graduate of Troy Athens High School. She was attending Northern Michigan Community College, where she was majoring in hotel management. Hours before the crash, Brill telephoned her mother, Stella, to let her know how much she loved the Northern Michigan community. She also had to tell her mother she earned an A in accounting. Stella Brill said she was enthusiastic and had many plans. Her mother said she was going to open and run her own hotel. She just loved it there. Deputies have not yet determined who was driving the car owned by Lent. The car ran off of northbound US 31 near Bayshore and struck a tree, shattering the bodies of those inside. Deputies said the 1979 Pontiac Firebird appeared to be going at a high rate of speed. Officials would not say whether the victims had been drinking. Charlevoix Mayor Ralph McRae, noting the accident, left the Northern Michigan community in shock, and he will ask the Charlevoix City Council to declare a day of mourning. Deputies speculate the couples may have been returning from Charlevoix Petoskey High School football game when the accident occurred. All were dead at the scene, deputies said. Deputies said the car appeared to be passing a slow automobile on the right shoulder of the 2-lane road while, can't see it here, while another car was yet unidentified passed on the shoulder car on the left. The funeral mass of Michelle Brill will be celebrated at 10 a.m. Tuesday in Guardian Angels Church, Clawson. Visitation at A.J. Desmond's Funeral Home, 26,000 Crooks, Troy, will be at 3 p.m. today. A scripture service is scheduled at 8:30 p.m. In addition to her mother, Michelle is survived by her father, Matthew, her sister, Kimberly Ann, and her grandmother, Brilla, will be in Whitechapel Cemetery, Troy. Excuse me for crying, getting a little emotional there, but even this bothers me. You know, because I wasn't able to determine exactly what happened to her, and I wanted to know if these kids were drinking. I was able to obtain Michelle Limbrill's death certificate, and it states right here she died of a massive skull fracture with decapitation at a high velocity impact injury. Car accident, hit a tree, alcohol, part of other specific alcohol, excessive car speed. So there was alcohol involved. Please note that all of these individuals were under the age of 20 at the time, and you have to wonder who bought the alcohol. Now, I'm going to look on my page and I'll post it on here. But that's her. There's Mrs. Brill. Now I'm going to read to you her death notice. Give me a second. A little easier. Okay. Shelley Lynn. Let me show this to you. Her name is Michelle Limbrill. This is how we found her. Her name's Shelley. Right there. Shelley. If you want to look at this, please go to my Google page and you'll be able to read this for yourself. Michelle Limbrill Shelley, October 28th. Suddenly in Charlevoix City, beloved daughter of Matthew and Stella, nee Clarissa, dear sister of Kimberly Ann Brill, dear granddaughter of Julia Solis, I can't say their name, dear niece of William Solis, dear cousin of Stacy and Jennifer Celia, funeral from A.J. Diamonds and Sons Funeral Home, 26,000 Crooks Road, Maple, Big Beaver, Tuesday, 9:30 a.m., Guardian Angel Church, Clawson. At family will receive friends Monday from 3 to 9 p.m. Scripture service Monday at 8:30 p.m. Contributions suggested to Michelle Brill Memorial Fund. A 1988 graduate of Troy Athens High School, Michelle was attending Northwestern Michigan College to prepare for her career in hotel management. Well, here's the thing that gets me. The night I met James Obar and we were talking, we also talked about artwork and type of artwork he did. I told him how I did these black and white photos with my friend Colleen as a representation of the loss of love I felt for Tammy. I did these photos back in 1986, 1985. The night we met while we were talking, I told him, I did artwork and used to race motorcycles. And Mr. Robar confessed to me that he worked on hot rods and that he was a street racer, and he raced up in Charlevoix, which I thought was odd because that's a hell of a long place to go to do some street racing. I don't know why Mr. Robar, after all these years, especially in 2009 when I started posting this stuff on Facebook and other places, that he started saying that he based that the book was, or Shelley's name was dedicated to this girl, Elizabeth. Now, the night I met, and he told me he had lost 4 friends in a good car accident and a girl that he was in love with, someone. And then he told me about some other girl who got ran over by a drunk driver and dragged several feet up into someone's front lawn. He was drunk at the time. I thought, he was confused about the two people. Um, I've lost my train of thought. I'm a Gulf War veteran, and that happens to me. Um, Bear with me for a moment. So, this is how I end up shooting these videos often, over and over again. And why it takes me so long to post them is this happens to me, and I'm a perfectionist, and I'll reshoot the whole damn thing. What gets me is that he's now denying Shelley. Shelley was a real person and someone he really cared about. Oh yeah. But what gets me is that all these kids are underage, and I didn't know it at the time when I met Obar. I thought he was single and this is someone he was in love with. Well, researching him, it turned out that he was married at the time, which makes me wonder what the hell he's doing hanging out with a bunch of kids. And I also have to wonder where to get the alcohol and why is he, after all these years, why is he separating himself from these 4 individuals? Was he there the night of this accident? What was his involvement? Was he the other car speeding away from the accident? And learning this really pissed me off because I thought when I allowed him to use me as comic book, I was doing this out of compassion because I felt sorry for this man. But knowing that he may have been involved in the death of these 4 young individuals, or at least that he had knowledge of some sort of what happened with these 4 individuals, really fucking bothers me. I feel like I gave something over to a shitbag, somebody I should have been fucking up and beating the shit out of on Halloween instead of feeling sorry for them. I don't know who Obar is. I do know by talking to his wife, who I have on a voice recorder, that she is deathly afraid of the individual and would give me very little to no information. I also know that by talking to Mr. Gary Reed, you can look at some of my email communications on my Facebook page. I want to be loved the way you want to be loved. Mr. Reed said that James Obar was the biggest liar he's ever met. Now, I'm sorry, I know a lot of you people look up to this guy and idolize Mr. Obar, but the man is not the individual that he's portraying himself to be. And second, it pisses me off that this guy likes to take credit for my pain and fucking suffering. Okay? The loss of Tammy, that's my pain. What made me create this character was all from my pain, not his. He has no right to take credit for that character. That's something that's deep inside me. It's a part of me that I am ashamed of, and I really don't like at times that I ended up being fucking crazy like that. But it was all due to the pain of losing someone I loved very deeply. And someone loved these kids very deeply. Their parents loved them. And if he had something to do with their death, I think it needs to come out. I think if you're a fan of Mr. Obar's and you go to the comic book convention, bring up these names. Ask them, who is Michelle Lynn Brill? Shelley. You used her name in the comic book, buddy. I think it's about time you come clean about what really happened to these 4 young people. Um, so just to let you know, I'm a real person. He used my actual name, and Shelley was a real person too. And so was my friend Tammy. This is not just some um, work of fiction. That comic book has truths and lies in it. And Obar, if you look in the comic book and you try to pick out which one looks like Obar, he looks like Top Dollar. And I think he calls himself Top Dollar because that is all this motherfucker really cares about. Money and his own goddamn ego. He has no respect for anybody. He had no respect for me. He had no respect for the girl I loved and lost because the payment for him having that comic book was just a dedication to Tammy. I didn't want no money. I never wanted money, and I didn't want to be famous. When Obar talked to me over the phone, um, and he found out that I was actually doing a bunch of crazy shit on Halloween, that I was somewhat of a Halloween vigilante. I saved a girl from getting raped. I saved several people from getting mugged, bullied on, or somebody got beat up. I beat the shit out of the guys who beat them up. Um, I never lost my train of thought again. But there's more to this than people know. So if you meet Obar or you see him at a comic book convention, ask him about these kids. Seriously, because I'd really like to know. Remember, it's Michael Lent, Monica Havens, Scott Crandell, and Michelle Lembrill. To their families, if you're watching this video, and you're related to these people, I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.